All right, we're back to it. I had to take a week off, had some family health issues that popped up, had to take care of, but we're going to jump right back into it. And I'm going to go over my form right now, what I want to work on. Definitely want to try to do field work Fridays or something along that line, and then kind of review where I'm progressing, where I still see faults, and kind of keep you up with the distance on what I'm hitting, because I can throw a putter about 300, I'd say 300 on a good throw. But then I'm having problems where my drivers, my fairways, mids, they're all capping out at about 320 to 360, where I feel like I should have progression in them a lot more. And that's telling me one thing is that I'm throwing nose up. I feel like from what I've saw. One thing I want to try to do to help is I kind of watch this video where you try to get a comfortable grip. You roll it up your arm and get a grip that way. But when I do that, the disc tends to slide, and if I'm pouring the tee, my disc is barely pointing down. A more comfortable thing for me to think of is kind of find your pinch point for me when I'm trying to get distance, where you want it to sling off of. And as I let it cave in, if I do that and let it cave in, I can get a more nose down shot where there's not as much tension in my wrist. And so that's something I want to try out, see if it helps throwing a few feet, maybe kind of learn it, see if I can actually throw with that. But I'm going to kind of go from the lower body and work up on what do I want to improve on. And so let's start here from the back. Let's see here. Skip to a few. That's a mid. Let's go to a fairway. Which this one's flippy, so I'm going to throw it kind of different. There we go. Right there, I want to start with my off foot. Something early. I need to be on the ball of my feet a little bit more. I can kind of see it. Need to be on the ball of the foot. I'm flat-footed right there, which I feel like is having problems with why that foot is pointed almost straight at the camera. And I'm not coiled. There's no tension, there's nothing there. I am strictly on front foot and throwing the disc rather than letting it eject out. I have a decent little sling coming from my arm. That one probably only got about 320. But you can definitely see that. Let's see here. So I need to be on the balls of my feet a lot more. One thing I do also want to work on is I want to be in a loaded position more so. Let's see here. We'll skip to that. Like I said, X step. My head's also falling through, but I'll jump into that. Right there, I'm not coiled. I'm planning, and I think I'm just pulling through. I need to be coiled more and built up around that back leg. I believe it was either Disc Golf Spin Doctor or Slingshot. A good thing to do to feel that tension and to try to repeat it is you want to sit down, have your legs out in front of you like you're trying to touch your toes, and twist. And when you do, you can feel the tightness in your core. And then when you also add your arm out in front of you, you can feel it in your back building up to your arm. And then you can kind of leave your arm loose. But then one thing, you go to squat, you do the same thing. You squat, and then you try to recreate that tension and feel it. And then as you reach, you can feel it in your back, going from that back foot all the way up to your shoulder. And then that helps create the tension to be more explosive and kind of letting your body do it rather than throwing it. And that's something I want to work on, see if I like. Let's see here. My feet position. I believe if I do that, I'll be pushed off more. Where I need to have my legs more so like that. So where they're concaving in towards each other almost. Like that one starts to do it, but it's kind of late. And right there, I'm kind of ABSing myself, like ABS braking, if that makes sense. I'm coming to a stop, and then I don't really wrap around. So one thing I want to practice in is almost letting if it feels like my right knee is driving towards the back of my left knee, and letting it crash and then wrap around and seeing if that helps kind of get that sling out. And then I want to see how that feels. I think that'll be a good point for me to try and kind of get that feeling. Okay, let's go into the head. Here I'm throwing my Rive. That's probably one of my favorite drivers right now at the moment, is the Rive. I feel like I get more glide than Cloudbreaker. I do like that the disc almost looks like it wants to stay in the same spot. It's just off a little. My head definitely looks like it follows. Whereas if I don't let my head follow, I kind of think of it like a domino effect, like Dr. Spin does. He lets everything crash, you throw, and then your head and everything else kind of follows. And so that's something I think will help also. Let's see here. A good way to kind of help do that is if I were to put like an object in front of me, like I'm looking at my mic right now, and I stand still, and I basically can just throw and just keep my head looking at that to get that motion to basically try to duplicate it. And then let's see here. And I want to let my weight fall onto my left heel when I go, because I am a lefty. But if I let it fall onto my heel, because you really want to be weightless on your right foot, I believe, after the coil, and you're exploding. As soon as you explode, you want to be weightless. Hit and then follow through is the way I'm thinking of it. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I want to see how I feel. Let's see here. And a good thing also is cooking the spaghetti drill, again from Dr. Spin, is to try to feel like more spin on it. Is you want to keep your arm, I'll kind of touch it fast, you want to keep your arm tight, and you want to basically do an approach shot, and your arm's going to bend a little bit. It won't do a lot, but it'll bend a little bit. And then you start loosening it, and eventually you start to feel kind of like a pocket where, you know, it looks like it almost has proform where you're tucked in like this. And basically it helps eject at 10 o'clock. It's supposed to. Another thing is you kind of want to start in an acute angle. Maybe lay down 2 sticks in front of you and you pull in and out. And that's kind of forcing your hand to be loose and to feel that hit. And then eventually you start kind of increasing the angle. And you still want to feel the spin. And then eventually you can have it where you're at like 10 o'clock. For me it would be 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, something like that. And that way you can still feel your forearm engaged and that it's slinging out and you're getting that spin as it ejects. But this is all something I'm very excited to try at the field, to see if I can get some improvements and some distance gains and maybe some accuracy gains, and we'll see how that goes. But I will definitely be uploading this today, which is Tuesday, and I'm going to try to get out at the field tomorrow and go from there, and I'll show you my progress. Thank y'all for watching, and feel free to leave any comments on if you'd like to see a review on a disc I have in the bag or anything like that, which I'll probably do a few of the more popular molds. Kind of do a more in-depth of what I want my bag to end up looking like, because I know I have a lot of discs in there right now that I'm not throwing, purely because of consistency. But that'll be explained in later videos, and I appreciate y'all.